All right, Brendan Taylor here, True School Sports. I'm with the one and only. You cannot clone him. It's Rick Glaser. What's up, man?
BT, glad to be on your show again. Glad we could do this tonight. Got the time, got the space, and it's all you for an hour and a half.
Man, I feel honored. I feel honored and I feel blessed.
I, I'm just as honored.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much to talk about in boxing too. We've missed quite a lot since the last time you were here. I know the thing that's been causing the most buzz in boxing right now has been the Crawford-Spence thing. You've obviously had a lot to say about that. So as far as like the transparency and the whole thing going on with all that, what do you make of Crawford-Spence?
Well, there's no Crawford-Spence. To have the two words together is ridiculous, to be honest with you. Um, the best way to put it is that this is an opinion I have. I've only talked to Terrence Crawford once in my life. It was with a bunch of people, and it was in Fresno at a restaurant at a weigh-in that he was not fighting, and one of Bomac's fighters was fighting.
Okay.
And to be perfectly frank with you, I don't know him well enough to form where something could come out of his mouth or say I know him well enough that this is what he's saying. But this is my opinion. My opinion, he doesn't trust Al Haymon, and he wanted transparency, and he wanted to veto on expenses. And if your only source of income is the percentage of net profits that you're being awarded with, which is rewarded with, which is 35%, you are entitled to those things. And if you don't get those things, you shouldn't fight. I mean, you're setting yourself up to get fucked.
Yeah.
And it's who would do that? Now, just to let everybody know that everybody's missed here. Some of the mental midget, I call them Earl sexuals, the mental midgets out there, they're named the Earl sexuals.
A lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. What they've missed is this: he hired one attorney to get the fight done. The attorney didn't get the fight done. He went out and hired a second attorney to get the fight done, unrelated to the first one. In other words, the second one had no association with the first attorney. Okay, zero. Okay, he literally went out and got a second attorney. The second attorney comes back and says to Terrence, they're not trying to make this fight.
Hmm.
Okay, then days later, Floyd goes on Fight Hype, okay, and announces to the world that they're not fighting, and maybe they'll fight next year and stuff like that. And he's Al
Yeah.
Haymon's partner, and he's
Pretty
speaking
much, yeah.
for PBC, and yeah, I mean, when Terrence heard that, that's when he hightailed it out of there. Okay, now he already had a fight in place through BLK. They had been talking about it. BLK Prime. They've been talking about it since June. But he had told the CEO of BLK Prime, the only way I'm not taking the Crawford fight is he doesn't fight. Then I'll take your fight. But there was no deal made in advance or anything like that.
Well, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because I'm glad you're saying that because a lot of people, most people, they say, oh no, well Crawford was doing this the whole time and the negotiations were fake and
Crawford put that opportunity on ice until he told the other guy until it's apparent the other fight's not happening. This is going to be on hold, and it was always there in his back pocket. But he wasn't negotiating. The negotiation did not take place until after the winning call. He knew who the fight was because BLK told him, if this is who you're going to fight, if you're going to fight for us, this is who you're fighting. And the reason why was because that fighter brings in additional TV revenues called the UK, because that's where he's out of. Okay, so it only made sense, and he's a top 10 contender. You didn't have to beg the WBO to put him in the rankings. He was already there, and it just fit. It was a great fit for everybody. In the meantime, is all these Earl sexuals and LDBCers and Haymonites and everything else, they've jumped on poor Terrence, and it's like, guys, get a life. Okay, the guy's getting millions of dollars Okay, he told. By the way, another thing is Crawford told Haymon, if you can't get the fight done, I'm fighting this year no matter what. He warned him, and he warned Spence.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
the same thing.
do you think maybe like Spence and Haymon their arrogance kind of backfired? Because for years we've heard like well, I'm the A side, I'm the big fish. You gotta take the 70-30,
Well,
80-20.
no. What happened really was, okay, they offered him no guarantee. They offered him 35%, and it backfired because they didn't think he would take it. And he jumped at it. So he pulled their bluff, and he was willing to fight and pull their bluff. Okay, he was that confident. So these LDBCers, Earl sexual Haymonites, they can think whatever they want to think. I'm not here to change their opinion. I'm just here to explain to everybody what actually did happen.
Okay. I know you mentioned the point about the UK television rights, which is why the fight made sense for Crawford. But then what about people who say like,
No, the fight made sense for the promoter.
Okay, for the promoter.
Right.
Why not go the route of fighting maybe a better opponent such as a Jaron Ennis or Virgil Ortiz? These guys are ranked higher than Avanesyan.
Why would anybody do that?
Because it's a great fight.
Why Crawford? You forgot Crawford's a businessman. These fighters are in business. Now you're speaking from a fan standpoint. If that fight's to get made, you're talking about a fight with three times the value total to all the fighters involved, 2.5 times to let's see, but yeah, it's a much bigger fight. It would take about 4 months to get set up. They couldn't set that fight up in 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Okay, so that's another reason. Okay, so all good reasons. But also, why the challenge? He doesn't have to fight him. Let him go the IBF route. Let him get a title, just like Spence told Crawford. Oh, you get a title. We'd be fighting. We'd be unified. Well, then have him go. Then have Ennis go get a title. He's sitting in no man's land. The IBF called a mandatory already.
Nah, I agree with that. It's just a question I wanted to answer because that was my first thought when I heard Avanesyan. I'm like, well, why not? Why not go fight Boots or Virgil?
Well, okay. Well, one would want millions, and one's getting way less than $1 million, and there's foreign TV rights involved as income. Well, what kind of income does Jaron Ennis bring overseas? Not a dime.
No, he doesn't. But
Right.
What about like I know at the WBC recently that they stated that they said that Virgil Ortiz was a mandatory because I forgot what fight it was. Mauricio Sullivan got into it with somebody. I can't remember who it was right now, but he said that Virgil Ortiz was the WBO mandatory, so they couldn't order a certain fight. So, like, do you know anything about Virgil Ortiz being Crawford's WBO mandatory? Is that really?
He is. He'll be the mandatory when the mandatory. There's a misunderstanding about mandatories. A big misunderstanding.
Oh, I know.
Okay, you become a mandatory based on the time. So when it gets to be, he has 18 months to defend against the mandatory. So 3 months before that, they'll call for the mandatory by a certain date. The mandatory is normally the number one contender 99% of the time. If the number one turns it down, then you go to number two. That's what happened last year when Ortiz didn't want to fight. It was Porter who became the mandatory. So a mandatory is time. Okay,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
Okay, so that's a big, always been a big money. You can be a number one contender, not be a mandatory, but when the time comes, you become the number one mandatory contender.
Okay. I know with Crawford now he's with BLK Prime, new company, startup. Whenever most of us found out who they were the night that we heard about this Avanesyan fight. What do you know about BLK Prime? Because I've seen you speak highly of them on Twitter. What do you know about that?
They've hired 3 boxing professionals. Steve Bash is the promoter of the show, the licensed promoter. He's an attorney by trade. He's been in boxing for a long time. He's a quality guy. They've hired Sam Kokowski, who ran that Ring City boxing.
USA. Yep.
Ring City. Yeah, right, exactly. Ring City USA boxing. Sam's a quality boxing guy. He also manages Regis Prograis, Amo Williams, and Carlos Balderas, Regis Prograis. About those three guys, he's a quality boxing guy. So he's the operations guy for boxing. And they hired Mario Serrano, one of the
I know
top.
Mario. Yeah, I know
One of
Mario.
the top PR guys in boxing, a great guy. So they've hired three quality boxing, professionals. So they're starting out properly. Let's put it that way to you. Okay. Now the second thing is the financing seems to be in place. I know that monies are in escrow for the main event. And there's nobody unhappy so far, and it's all supposedly looking pretty good. So
Yeah.
I would say there's a very good chance of BLK being in boxing after this one event. I know they signed up Adrian Broner.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they signed him up because he's got a mouth like a machine gun, and he's a name guy. Whether he's shot, whether he's jerk off or everything else, that's secondary. He's a name guy and he brings eyeballs. So that's what they're looking for. And Crawford's ESPN, even though that he hasn't been with Top Rank in a year, they still got a number one. I don't see why he shouldn't be number one. He's a great fighter, and they're picking off the top. One guy's a great fighter, and one guy's a great attraction. Will the two of them fight? Probably not.
No.
I don't see Broner and Crawford fighting. That's a Lynch job.
That ship sailed a long time ago. I know. Maybe like years ago that might have been like a thing when they were at 40. But, not anymore. As far as like Crawford, I heard they sold like almost 10,000 tickets already. So it seems like things are moving pretty smoothly with BLK.
No, everything's in place. They've done a great job of marketing so far. Like I said, Mario Serrano, they got all the stuff on the ground level is going to the top. That's what's basically happening. They hired three quality guys, and you can't beat that. If they would have hired their brother-in-law or some friggin' thing, or some guy, three idiots you never heard of, then you got that are not quality people, but all three are honest, all three are hardworking, and they're all three career professionals. You can't beat that combination. So far, so good.
Okay. Well, switching gears, Rick, I know there was a lot of interesting things that happened this weekend in boxing. We had the whole Janibek, Denzel Bentley fight. I know you're very high on Janibek. What did you make of the Janibek Denzel Bentley fight?
I just think that Bentley was a lot better fighter than I don't think it was Janibek not being a boogeyman. He wasn't the boogeyman that people thought he was or were thinking he was, but I would not call him a boogeyman going forward. He maybe had a little slip in the thing, but Bentley was a good, solid. It's really weird. This, everybody calls these European fighters Euro trash and all this stuff.
Euro bums,
Euro bums, Euro trash. These guys can fight. I don't know where they get this shit from. I have no idea. Okay, and Bentley's a typical example. He can fight. Okay, he can fight. So he lost to Felix Cash. Felix Cash is a top fighter. Okay, so there was nothing bum about the guy. And I think that Janibek was as good as he was in his last fight and the fight before that. He's good, but that guy there just stood up to the test. That's all there was to it. I mean, that's all
he rose to the occasion.
Yeah, he rose to the occasion, and not only did he rise to the occasion, he's better than people thought he was.
Yeah.
So I think those things right there, I think they're downplaying Janibek. I wouldn't want to be somebody fighting Janibek the next time off, thinking he's going to fight like this the next time.
Well, what I can say about the fight is I know the thing I was impressed with from Janibek was the fact that in the 12th round, he was still throwing really hard punches, was still dangerous in the 12th round, which is something sometimes we see with fighters where like they can get to the latter part of a fight and they don't have no steam on their punches. So he showed he could be dangerous for the whole fight. He had never gone, that far. So
Right.
Really,
well, if you look at it from the other standpoint, you say, "Oh, he's not the boogeyman. He's not any good," and all that stuff. But then, really, Demetrius Andrade made a huge mistake. Another one. Wait, another one. Another one. How many mistakes can one man make in a career? It's unbelievable. You know what? You know what's remarkable about Demetrius? He's made so many mistakes and he's still undefeated, and is a 2-division world champion. It's unbelievable. Have you ever seen like this in your entire life?
That's how good he is. That's how talented he is. What did you say? You said last time. You said you were here. You said his team is the worst team in boxing, and he's still undefeated in spite of them, not because of them. That's what you said last time.
Right. And I stand by what I said. I mean, he works with a bunch of clowns.
So, Rick, what do you think about people who kind of use the whole Bentley fight to parade Andrade around? Like they're saying now, like, oh well, if Andrade would have fought him, what would have happened?
If my mother, whoa, simple explanation. If my mother had balls, she'd be my father.
There you go.
That's all you need to know. So if Johnny come lately, Monday morning quarterback, come on now. If I, that old line from that old little short Jewish guy, if he said one more thing, I was gonna kill him. Right? Come on now.
I mean, I said if I was 6'9", I'd play power forward in the NBA.
Well, yeah, there was a joke around Buffalo years ago. Okay, I'll tell you what it was. You really like it.
Go ahead.
There was a guy that was 5'2", and he loved basketball, and he was really bow-legged. So a guy said to him one day, he said, Joe, if your legs ever straightened out, this is years ago, you'd be making $5 million a year. If your legs ever straightened out, you'd be making $5 million a year in the NBA. Until that happens, shut the fuck up and have another drink.
And the same could be applied to Andrade,
Absolutely. No, not even a question. I mean, that guy there, he should be. I talk about a guy that comes up mentally short at every decision. Oh my God Almighty! And then he picks guys around him that don't know nothing about boxing. Some guy named Ed I never heard of.
Ed Ferris, that's his manager.
Ed Ferris, I never heard of the guy. Who the fuck is he? I mean, the father. I mean, this is all you need to know.
I think his dad is a good trainer. I think his dad's a good coach.
Oh, wait, hold on. Don't confuse training and the business. That's the sport. Then we're talking about the business here.
Yeah.
These guys have not made one good decision in his career, in years. I'll leave it like that.
Okay. Well, the other fight we had Montana Love versus Stevie Spark, which, was turning into a good fight. And then Montana Love channeled his inner WWF, his inner wrestling, and threw him over the top rope. What did you make of Montana Love versus Stevie Spark?
Well, he intentionally tried to foul out. That's why the referee did not take a point away, because he knew he was trying to get out of the fight. And the doctor didn't stop the fight, and he says, no problem. Okay, then you let the fight continue. Then he did that. He knew he was just right before that. He got roughed up real bad in the center of the ring, and then he shoulder chucked him back into ropes, and then he flipped him over. No, there's no place for that in professional boxing. I'm just glad that Stevie Sparks had a lot left in his legs and a lot of agility and balance, and he able to land on his feet.
That was impressive. I was impressed.
That was impressive. Yes, died on his head. Okay, and I'm glad they gave him the victory. He deserved to win. I mean, they were trying to rob the poor bastard because the scorecards are 2 or even after the rounds were over. If they would have went to the scorecards because of the cut, there's 2 of them had it even. One had Love up by 2 points, so they were trying to screw him. Love,
did they really?
Yeah, they did. I don't think Love knew that. I think he thought he was going to lose on the scorecards, and instead of that, he went for the shoulder chuck and I don't know what you'd call it, the rope flip or whatever what you call it. But I'll tell you what people don't understand, and was apparent. People don't understand this. When you get a shot to the head, the forehead on forehead, like he did, and you get cut. It's more than just the cut. It's the stuff that you can't see. He could be concussed because of it. Okay, he said he couldn't see. He said he was, he may be dizzy. You don't see because of the fact that you basically have a concussion.
Yeah.
And people look at the cut like it's only the cut. It's not only the cut. It's what you can't see. Okay, and people don't consider that. That's number one. Number two is it's very apparent that Montana Love, no matter if he missed weight a time or two in his career, he's an undisciplined guy and he should be a 135 pounder. He's not tall. Okay,
No. No.
he's very small. You saw how small he was. One guy looked like a 60, 65 pounder, and one guy looked like a 30 pounder in there. I mean, and Montana was getting pushed around and everything, and that's very, very apparent that he's not a 40 pounder, and he needs to evaluate his training techniques and get a real strength and conditioning coach and
Nutritionist.
diet technician, because he should stay a long way away from that rematch. Because and especially don't go to Australia for the rematch. But if he's going to do the rematch, have it in Cleveland. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't do the rematch. I would just move on if I was him.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And go down to 135 because he's not a 40 pounder. You can see it.
Well, I remember when he first started competing at 40, I was like, my jaw dropped because I've seen him in person. I've met him in person. I know how small he is. He looks nothing like a 40 pounder. So,
no.
It's crazy because he was acting like he was on top of the world the whole fight week and kind of like dominating Richardson Hitchens. And now Hitchens is won and tables are turned. He might get dropped.
Right.
Eddie Hearn might just cut ties with him and just drop him because who loses
I
a fight?
Be surprised, but I'll tell you what, he may not drop him. I'll tell you why, because he's got Hitchens. And Eddie signed Hitchens, and he might just say, hey, he's a good opponent, a name opponent for Hitchens, and we'll put him in with Hitchens. Hitchens will spank him from pillar to post. He's too tall and too crisp, okay? And that's just the way it is, he will not beat Hitchens. No way, no how.
I was pretty impressed with Hitchens because I saw him fight a couple years ago when he fought Arrhenius Mendez, and he looked sharper, much sharper this fight.
This is what I'm going to tell you about Hitchens. Hitchens is a solid professional with very good technical skills, good hand speed. He throws leather, but he doesn't throw heavy leather. He's not exciting because he's technical, but he's a very good fighter. No joke. It'll take a very good fighter to beat him.
I agree, and his he doesn't have a lot of power as his record will indicate, but his jab is probably his best power punch. It's like a ramrod.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with a friend of mine manages him, and Keith Conley. He left Mayweather, and Keith signed him up as the manager, and he's a good fighter, and he's going to be in a big fight, and he's capable of winning.
He I don't know if you saw, but he called out Liam Paro on Twitter after the fight. Probably won't happen because I think Liam's like number 2 or number 1 in the WBO.
Right.
But what would you think about that fight? Because they're both matchroom. It's a fight that could be made.
Pretty even fight. Liam can punch a little bit, but this guy's a real good boxer, taller, got the stick. I would say that Hitchens would probably outpoint him because Hitchens seems to have a good chin.
Yeah. Okay.
Not based off the fight the other night, but the fights I've seen him before when he was with Mayweather.
Yeah.
Let me clarify that because the other night you couldn't tell if he had a good chin or not.
Yomar Alamo looked like he made Yomar Alamo look like a bum. And he's not a bum. The guy was an Olympian, and he gave Liam Paro a pretty good fight.
No question about it. You're spot on.
Yeah. Okay. I know you're very big on Sonny Edwards. He was probably had the best performance of the week. What did you make of the Alvarado fight? Because it actually confirmed what I already believed about Sonny, but I want to hear your take.
Well, let's go to Sonny in a second. Let me tell you what I was very impressed by.
Go ahead.
I had never watched a fight on Fight TV before, and their production was absolutely the technical part of the production was absolutely fantastic. The announcers left a lot to be desired, but that's a different issue. Okay, but as far as the production, it was great. The picture was great. There was nothing negative at all. As far as Sonny Edwards goes, I'm salivating for him and Bam. Bam's going to win a WBO vacant title, then it looks like they're going to unify. There's a great relationship. There's no problems between Matchroom and Probellum and Mr. Honda, who has a Bam, who's the promoter of Bam.
Yep.
And everybody gets along just fine. And I really think that that's going to be like the small guy. Hopefully they each win once in the beginning. And, in the first two fights, they even have a third fight. Could be a trilogy. I think that he's the only fighter in the world at 115 pounds that can beat I'm sorry, I said this wrong.
112.
I think the only fighter at 112 that can beat each other. Now, nobody else is beating Bam and nobody else is beating Sonny. So I think they're the only two guys that can beat each other, those two guys. And I think the foot speed and the hand speed is goes to Sonny. The power goes to Bam, and the ring IQ. I would give a slight edge to Sonny, but they both have brilliant ring IQs.
How could you give the slight edge to Sonny when you just said recently when I interviewed you said Bam was the smartest fighter in boxing?
Well, he is, and Bam is just, and Sonny proved the other night to me he was just as smart.
No, I agree. I remember you went on a long tangent about
no. Listen, I'm as high on Bam as today as I was then. I think him and Sonny will be the great small. I mean, this is Carvajal and Chiquita Gonzalez all over again. But okay, this is just one is a guy from the UK. I just can't wait till this fight happens. I feel it's going to happen in the fourth quarter next year. Could it happen possibly in the summer? Yeah, it could be, because let's see how fast the he wins that WBO title. Bam, and let's get the fight on. It's okay. Actually, I'd rather see it in the summer because there's always a backlog of big fights in the fall and football games and everything else. So it'll get its just due in the middle of the summer. Like in July when there's nothing else going on except regular Major League Baseball, regular games and stuff. You don't have the football yet, the big game, you get exhibitions. So exhibition, spring, what training games, whatever.
Preseason. Nobody cares about
preseason. Nobody cares about, right. So I think if they did it in the summertime, I think it would be absolutely sensational. I think that, would the Zone put it on without pay-per-view? Yeah, they would, because they don't have to pay the guys, $5, $6, $10 million a piece, $1 million and $1.5 million, something like that a piece, something like that. I just think it's something that the world should see. I think it's too great. Forget about what they weigh. Okay. They weigh the same. They're 112 pounders. They're flyweights.
They're two upper echelon fighters. Two of the best we have in our sport.
Two of the elite fighters in our sport today. And they're in the same weight class. They're both great guys. I've met Bam. He's cool as a cucumber. I've met Sonny. Great kid. Fun to be around. Funny. And, he's a real pro on Twitter. He engages with everybody. I love it. And he's a great guy. And I'm looking forward to that fight as much as I am for any fight in boxing. So that's how I feel about that fight. I'm a real boxing purist, remember.
And I would agree. And I'm the same as well. I know Sonny Edwards recently, before he fought, when he was watching the Japanese fight, he said that he would like the winner of Kenshiro versus Tayaguchi, which wound up being Kenshiro. What do you think about Kenshiro?
Well, he can beat Kenshiro. He's so fast and so great on his feet and so fast and smart in there. He can beat anybody. But Shiro's a great fighter. Kenshiro's a great fighter. Don't get me wrong. But the world is not looking for Shiro and Edwards. They're looking for Bam and Edwards. Now, if the winner does the winner of that fight, if they don't do a rematch, do they go on to fight Shiro? Maybe, but everybody wants to see Bam and Sonny Edwards. Nobody's talking about Shiro as far as the general public goes. You're a media person, you get it, but Bam and what's his name and Sonny would be for a little guy fight. My God, that would be unbelievable. Think about that.
And the thing is,
the only thing bigger than that would be a Jamal Charlo coming back after what is now an 18-month hiatus.
Oh man,
the only thing bigger. Wait. I'll tell you what. More people would be interested in Sonny versus Pam than Andrade versus Jamal Charlo. How's that one?
Are you sure about that?
I'm positive.
Okay, interesting. I mean, I think they both be great fights, but yeah, I hope Sonny Edwards and Bam can happen because that's what we need in boxing.
Remember one thing. Sonny brings a country. Okay, Bam brings a country. Okay, you know what Andrade and Jamal Charlo bring? A neighborhood and their families.
I like this guy right here. The kid's back. He says, "Rick loves Charlo."
Oh my God, no. Now, I don't know if you guys ever saw this tweet. Everybody saw this tweet, but about 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, I put out a tweet. I told everybody, stop calling the Charlos twins. They're the Charlo brothers. I said, because Jermel, the 154-pounder, got all the balls and heart. The other guy got an empty ball sack and no heart. So I said, forget about that. They're now just the Charlo brothers. They're no longer the Charlo twins.
Tragic. I talked Canelo 24.
Ask Glaser opinion about Inouye becoming undisputed. LDB saying he's a hype job. There's nothing hype about fucking Inouye. Stop.
Anybody who says that just doesn't know shit about boxing.
That's LDBC.
Or people say, Roman Gonzalez was an HBO hype job media creation, and he got exposed when he got knocked out by Rungvisai. Like, you shut up. You know, fuck all about boxing.
Yeah, come on. There's nothing hype about Inouye. The PBC's already making plans for Stefan Fulton to move up to 126 to run.
I saw that.
Yeah, they're already making WBC plans for that.
And then you got Fulton talking about saying that if you took away Inouye's power, how good would he be? You know.
Well, yeah. If my mother had balls, she'd be my father. That applies to that too.
Yeah, I didn't think that fight would ever happen, but I actually talked to Fulton when I was in Philadelphia, and he was like, he said, of course I'll fight him and all this kind of stuff. And then when push comes to shove, well, he's fighting Figueroa at 26. But
right,
like you've always said, and like I've said as well, Al Haymon, when he's involved, things just tend to not happen.
Right. He's the ultimate obstructionist. It's just the way it is, and he can't help himself. I mean, it's part of his DNA.
I saw a tweet where it was a joke that you had on Twitter. You said, yes, a guy asked you, how many fights has Al Haymon blocked or got in the way of, and then you told him, do you have a pen and paper because it's going to be long?
No.
What did you say? What exactly did you say?
And I says a legal pad and 2 pens. And the guy said, why 2 pens? Because in case the ink runs out of the first one, because he's blocked an awful lot of fights. And it wasn't a joke. It was a true story. So just to let you know, that was a true story. It actually happened.
For people out there, because, sometimes people don't do their homework or they just don't know. How many big fights do you think Al Haymon has blocked? Because I know, we had Kovalev, Stevenson, Wilder, Joshua.
The list goes on and on. It's endless. It's endless.
Quillin Korobov. I mean, that's just 4 right there.
Right. The list is endless.
It never ends.
No.
Kevin Effect says MJ Akhmadaliev is ducking the undisputed fight with Stephen Fulton. What do you make of that?
That guy don't have to duck anybody. Please stop already. Any of those Russians, any of those guys from the
Uzbek.
Eastern European countries, Uzbekistan, they don't duck anybody. They're looking for the smoke. Please.
You think so? He would. Well, he said he was injured, and then like this video came out, and he's on the beach shadow boxing, playing around with Anthony
So
Joshua.
yeah, but that's not fighting. Okay,
I
it's not
know.
like you took another fight. You listen. I've been injured laying on a beach. I mean, what the I one time years ago with my ankle, and I was laying on a beach here in Buffalo. That was a sight for bad eyes. Oh my god! But anyways,
Yeah,
to
spare
make
us,
a
please,
long
please
story
spare us the
short,
sight. Spare us the
yeah,
sight.
yeah. Well, I was a little thinner then, but in the meantime, I mean, so what? He's laying on a beach. Doesn't tell you shit. Please. It's like the guy saying, "I'm not hungry." You say, "I want to go for Chinese food." Well, I'm not hungry. Well, put spare ribs in front of him. Put the barbecue ribs on it, or put pasta in front of him. See if he's hungry. He just didn't want to go for Chinese food.
Okay, fair enough. Somebody asked earlier. They said if beats Benavidez, where does he go? Canelo versus Plant 2 doesn't make a good pay per view.
It doesn't make a good anything. I don't. I wouldn't worry about that because I don't see Plant beating Benavidez. I think Benavidez is too big, too strong, too powerful, and too fresh and too seasoned for a guy like Plant to beat him. Plant
Yeah,
needs Plant needs greenhorns. He doesn't. With no power, he's not going to do well with a Benavidez.
yeah, it's gonna be
So I wouldn't worry about that.
yeah. I'm going with Benavidez too, even though I would really like Caleb Plant to win because I'm a big fan of his. But I just think like you said, too big, too strong. I think too like Caleb Plant has an issue in the back half of fights with his stamina. Benavidez has long arms. He's got very educated pressure. He's gonna be throwing a lot of punches, so it's gonna be a very tough challenge.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Rick. Oh, I know you're gonna have a lot to say about this because a lot of people have a lot to say about this. But what do you make of this whole like IBF situation now with Hrgovic and Usyk? Now it's like the Fury fight's kind of put on hold.
Okay. Let's forget about the fighters. Okay, let's forget about that for a second.
Okay.
The IBF, ever since they had the problem and the new people took over, they've been very, very, very honest, straightforward, law abiding, and everything else, especially under Daryl Peoples, the current president. Okay, there's no hanky panky. Everything's done by the book and a timeline. Okay, and I'm going to counter something in a minute before you say anything.
Go ahead.
Okay, but if the mandatories do, the mandatories do. Okay, they don't play games at the IBF. Okay, he's a straight up guy, and it's not what's best for boxing. It's what goes by their rules, and respect the organization that lives up to the rules because the IBF and the WBO are the only ones that live up to the rules. Now, somebody mentioned to me, well, what about the Spence situation? Well, he hasn't fought in a mandatory since Ocampo in 2018. Well, first of all, he had the car accident. He was injured. Okay. They had an interim title fight. I can't remember who it was. I don't even remember anymore, but doesn't matter.
It was
okay.
Abdul Kakarov, the Uzbek fighter.
Right. Okay. Right. And make a long story short, here goes. They had the IBF that fight. Then the COVID came along. Okay. Then Spence had the problem, couldn't fight Pacquiao. Had the eye problem, right? And then he finally fought Ugas. The reason why the mandatory wasn't ordered at the Ugas time was because of the fact that a mandatory can take presence. I'm sorry, a unification bout can take precedence over a mandatory. So going back to that, they're going to have to petition the IBF, Usyk's people, and if they want. Now, Fury can't petition the IBF because he's not part of that situation. But Usyk, if he wants to fight what's his name, he's got to petition the IBF and ask for what they call a special exception. And and 99% of the time, unless the mandatory is way past due, they're going to grant it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that I don't think there's anything wrong with it whatsoever. Now, do I think Herkovec is a big challenge for Usyk? No, but that has nothing to do with the IBF's point. The IBF's point is they are playing and they are operating under the proper formula and procedure. Okay, of their rules, and that's what their rules are. The mandatories do its due.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
And Hergovich, I mean, I know you say he's not a big challenge, but like he got put through the ringer this year with all these guys, turning down the eliminator with him, like Michael Hunter, and they got all the way down to Zhang. So
they'll say it's the same thing with Andrade turning down the Janibek, I guess. And a lot of people made mistakes and turned down what do you call it? Because he looked like dog shit versus
Zhang.
Zhang. I mean, he looked terrible. I mean, he looked like he looked like a duck out of water, and he didn't look like Herkovec, and just like Janibek didn't look like Janibek the other night, as good as he normally looks. So it goes both ways. I think the opponent was a lot better the other night than where instead of Janibek being bad. That's my opinion.
I agree, because Denzel, like I said, Denzel Bentley really, you can't really judge what's in a man's spirit and his determination to win a fight, and he really was a determined challenger on the night.
Correct.
Yeah. I know PBC, like they finally went ahead and made a decent fight to close the year out. What do you think about Michelle Rivera versus the Frank Martin?
It's sensational. It's a real working class type fight amongst lightweights. It's not the elite guys, but it's a second level, and I'm very impressed. And hopefully the winner will go on and fight. Let's say they make Ryan Garcia. Let's assume they make Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis.
Yeah.
And the Pitbull don't get the rematch. The Pitbull should fight the winner of Michael Rivera and Frank Martin. That's my opinion. So that's
I'm mad at that. Yeah, I'm of the mindset that like no matter who wins this fight, they're getting Tank next after. Because I've always thought that like Rivera and Martin were apart from Pitbull, these are the two other guys that PBC was priming up to fight Gervonta Davis as opponents.
Well, you're probably right. You could be right, but if he's gonna have. He's gonna have he's gonna have Pitbull looking for a big fight, and he won't be able to deliver one if Tank is off fighting January 7th if that fight happens. So we'll see. It's very subjective right now.
Yeah. Well, I know Pitbull. I mean, he had a big fight that was delivered on his doorstep. I don't think it would ever happen because of the whole Al Haymon top rank thing. But Shakur Stevenson, he came. Pitbull Cruz's father came out and said that basically like they don't want to fight Shakur because he runs around the ring and he's boring and he's not exciting. They got to fight Lomachenko. What do you think about that?
Well, they're not going to get Lomachenko either. You can talk out his ass. He's not getting Lomachenko. Please, Top Rank would laugh at him.
Yeah, because I just think Isaac Cruz wants to sit there and wait for Tank. He really wants that Tank rematch.
Yeah, well, I don't know what they're offering him. Who knows? I don't know, but you know what? They're all over the board over there. They've lost Fox. They may be losing Showtime. Showtime might be going off altogether. They might be going on the app. Will they still do boxing on the app? Will Paramount still? Because they're going to go down as a cable network. That's for sure. They're going out. Who knows? Who knows what Al Haymon's going to do to generate revenue to pay those fighters too much money, like he's been overpaying them for years. Now it's finally caught up with him.
Yeah, and it's good. I think it's like better for the sport that things are kind of like bottoming out right now, because now the fighters are gonna have to fight, right? Like PBC would have to put on better fights on a more consistent basis, right? Like they can't just.
Well, you think so? I mean, how many? You know how many networks he's put out of business in boxing? I mean come on.
Estrella TV, Bounce TV, Spike TV.
NBC,
CBS.
right? The list is endless.
Yeah.
Don't forget ESPN. The only reason why they went back into boxing is because of the opportunity to work with Arum.
Yeah, an experienced boxing guy who knows what he's doing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But also you had recently had David Morrell beat the living shit out of the Eidos Yerbasinuli guy, and
the fight should have been stopped in round 6. It was disgusting.
Yeah,
it was a
bad.
butcher job. Tony Weeks, he's way past it. I mean, listen, fighters can be shot, as we know. They can be on the back nine. So can referees and judges. And he's definitely on the back nine.
Is he in the clubhouse?
He should be. He's just nobody's smart enough to put him there.
Yeah. Do you think David Morrell's ready for the elites? Because some people are crowning him. They already think he's ready for the Benavidez's and the Canelo.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Not even a question.
What stands out about Morrell to you, Rick, when you watch him?
Awkwardness, speed, left-handed, good ring smarts, good general intelligence, picks his shots well. Overall, an excellent fighter.
Yeah. Does he remind you of anybody from the past, like style-wise?
A little bit like Joe Calzaghe. Awkward, left-handed, fast. A lot of angles.
Yeah, a real challenge for anybody that gets in the ring with them.
Correct.
Okay. I know a couple weeks ago we also had that Lomachenko Jermaine Ortiz fight, which I knew Jermaine Ortiz could fight, but I think he even went to another level in that fight. What did you make of Jermaine Ortiz versus Lomachenko?
He needs a little more experience in top fights with top fighters. Maybe better sparring would be for starters. There were some holes in his game that Lomachenko was able to exploit, and if he had a little more experience, maybe he wouldn't be able to exploit it. But he's a good fighter. He's good on his feet. I'd like to watch him again. He's with a low-level promoter in Jimmy Birchfield, which is a shame.
What is that? CES Boxing, right? Out there in New England?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. It stands for Classic Entertainment and Sports. The only thing classic about it is there's the promoter Jimmy Birchfield's wig.
Yeah. Do you think Lomachenko can beat Devin Haney?
I don't know what Lomachenko's got left at that level. Remember something, that was a tune-up fight for him. And who knows what level he can go to again. I don't think he can. I don't think he can beat Lomachenko, but I don't think any of them beat Shakur Stevenson, including Devin Haney.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same mindset. I think at that weight class, Shakur is the best of the bunch. But I keep hearing this, like people from Vegas and even here in South Florida, they keep telling me that Emiliano Vargas is going to be the guy around these weights.
Well, okay, that may be true, but he's only had a second pro fight. You got guys that are 12-round fighters. By the time he's a 135-pound guy, Shakur will be at 47, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
And Haney will be at 47, and so it's not. You can't talk about fighters like that in the same sentence.
Yeah,
even the same paragraph.
Yeah, because it's gonna take some time for him to develop and fight top contenders, let alone the top champions.
Right, correct though.
Okay,
absolutely.
Okay. I know, like out there in England, the what's been causing a big stir is this whole Conor Benn clomiphene situation. What do you make of that, Rick? The Conor Benn situation.
Well, there's nothing to make of. He was caught red-handed. I don't buy any of that bullshit about it was tainted. It was this. It was a mistake. I don't understand it. It's impossible. The fuckers on steroids live up to it. Look how he looked compared to a year ago, a year before that, and now. I mean, the guy had muscles on top of muscles. He looked like an action figure.
Yeah.
He looked like an action figure. That neck was the size of Mike Tyson's, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, he looked like the dude I see when I go to the gym. The dude's on steroids, just pumping iron.
Right. They try to get laid. Right.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
They can't get laid, so they just take whatever they got, HGH or whatever.
Right. Right.
Paul Sotek wants to know from you, Rick, what's your opinion on Jafred Nagayat from Buffalo?
He's a good prospect. He had a bad loss exactly a year ago. Next week, in Erie, Pennsylvania, he won the fight, and they didn't give it to him on the scorecards. It wasn't even a local guy, but he's. I think he's 6-1 now. He's a good fighter. He's
Yeah.
a pretty good fighter.
What weight class is he?
He's
Yeah.
a 35 pounder, and he should probably be at 30, but he's a good local fighter. I think he's going to get his shot in the sun one of these days. I think it's going to be one of those deals where he gets up to 16-1, and he gets the Jermaine Ortiz type of call. And he's a hell of a good kid. He's a 4-year college graduate at the top of his class. He was born in Africa. He was adopted here. And he's a great guy, great personality. I think he's 26 years old now. Great kid. I have nothing negative to say about him. He's a pleasure to be around. And I wish every fighter had his mental awareness and his attitude. And boxing would be a better place.
He sounds like a decent kid.
Great kid.
Great kid.
Great kid. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Kid is back says Tony Weeks has always been bought and paid for.
That's not true. Stop, please. And he didn't even spell Weeks right. It's Weeks. He's got it like he's weak. Please. Can't even spell the guy's name right, and you're insulting him. And his integrity, not even his ability.
Benavidez beats Morrell's ass right now.
I don't know about that. That's a pretty close fight. I wouldn't want to be betting on that fight.
I mean, that would probably be like the best 68 pounder he's ever fought, because he don't really fight too many 68 pounders these days.
Right, exactly.
And then he knocks them out, and then he calls himself a monster, and then Samson smiles, and all that. All that.
How phony! Oh my God! Please.
Yeah, I know in a couple weeks we have. I'm sure you'll be excited about this because I know you're high on this guy. Zach Parker, John Ryder is going to happen.
It's a great fight, a fun fight, great fight for the fans in the UK. I think the winner will end up fighting Canelo, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because it's for the WBO interim title, super middleweight title, and the winner will be declared the mandatory when the time comes.
Yeah, I want to see John Ryder win the fight because I feel like he don't get his due. He's better than the 31-5 record indicates.
No, 1,000%. John Ryder is crisp with his punches, and he's tall, and he's got power in both hands, and he's a good fighter, very good fighter. He
doesn't always look the prettiest, but he grinds you down. He kind of has. Somebody made a comparison. Somebody said. John Ryder's style is kind of like a Dave Tiberi, from back in the 90s. So do you think that's valid? Dave Tiberi, who fought James Toney, John Ryder?
Not really.
No?
No.
Because someone said, I was talking to someone one time and they said, oh yeah, well, he kind of gets in your chest and he grinds you down, and he's not the fastest and he's not the quickest, but yeah, Dave Tiberi. I thought there was a small similarity, but just wanted to see what you thought.
Not really.
No. So like you think Zach Parker? Do you think Zach Parker's gonna get it done? Because I know you're like.
Yeah, I think Zach Parker's got enough talent to beat him. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Hawker Mustang says BT should take some of that Conor Benn gear. I don't need that, champ. I'm good. I'm perfectly happy with how I am. Let me see. Tony Weeks has lost his touch. There you go. There you go. He spelled his name right. So you can't criticize him now.
Well, we know he's lost his touch. I already said he was in the back nine. He should be in the clubhouse. I mean, we already said that. This guy's a parrot with his own. This guy's a parrot using his own words.
Yeah. Marv Nation has the big fight with Regis Prograis and Zepeda. What's your thoughts on that one, Rick?
I think it's a great fight for boxing. I'm gonna buy the pay-per-view and support it. I think it's a fight that should be, and I think it's a fight that should be. Is it a pay-per-view fight? I think because it's going to be a great fight and the high quality and the ramifications, it's a pay-per-view fight. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to support it and buy it. Yep.
It's a modern day pay-per-view because if this is the 90s, this is like a HBO boxing after
No,
dark.
I know.
Yeah.
No, this is I get it, but you know what? This is a good fight.
No, it's a good fight, and we do a lot of complaining here in boxing as fans and enthusiasts of the sport that of things that aren't happening. So when guys get in the ring and put it all on the line, two top guys, you gotta show some support and appreciation.
100%.
Yeah,
no question.
I believe it was. I don't know if it was yesterday or Saturday, but I know within the last couple of days it was a 30-year anniversary of the first Riddick Bowe Holyfield fight, which is one of my favorite fights, but I wasn't born for that. I wasn't even alive when that fight happened. You were, so I wanted to ask you, Rick, being a guy that was in the industry, in the boxing industry back then as well, what exactly was the significance of that fight, and what did it mean at the time?
Well, Holyfield was the heavyweight champ of the world. What's his name was the number one contender in all the organizations, and they went to war, and it was a sensational fight. The best of the three of them. The last one was anticlimactic. But that first one, that was a war. And it was 12 rounds of warfare. They took some heavy leather in that fight. And it's both of them left a lot of themselves in the ring that night. And it was warfare. I mean, what else can you say? It was 12 rounds of Hagler Hearns. How's that?
Yeah.
Instead of 3 rounds, it was 12 rounds of Hagler Hearns. I mean, just throwing bombs at each other. Yeah, at heavyweight, and just sensational. It really was. I mean, the crowd was going crazy, and you could just the excitement was just so there for the fight, leading up to the fight, because you knew it was going to be a great fight because of their styles, and then both guys lived up to the hype of their styles and their prowess in the ring, and it just turned out to be one of the great heavyweight fights, at least of the modern era. Yeah. The last 50 years, I would say it ranks up there with the Ali Frazier fights. I would think I think Bert Cooper, Michael Moore, Bert Cooper didn't have as much meaning, but it was an unbelievable action fight. George Foreman Lyle, the only reason why I'm not counting that fight in that category, because it wasn't a world title fight. George had lost his title at that time. I would just say that those are some of the great heavyweight fights. Larry Holmes, Ernie Shaver.
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yes, Ernie Shaver, but Larry Holmes versus Ken Norton. That was sensational. Both guys knowing that they had to win the 15th round to win it. They were 15 rounders back then. That was a sensational fight. You could name the great heavyweight fights really on there's probably 12 of them.
Joe Louis, Max Schmeling.
Yeah, Joe Louis, Max Schmeling, Joe Louis, Billy Conn. There's not that many of them. It's funny because Sonny Liston was never in a great fight. Think about that. He either steamrolled a guy or he got beat.
Well, he got steamrolled, yeah.
Right. He was never in a great fight. Think about that.
That is crazy.
He was never in a great fight. Nope. Yeah. So great fighter. Okay, heartless. He was a gutless guy, but in the meantime, he was never in he was a great fighter, never in a great fight. That maybe sound weird, but it is the truth.
I mean, no, I mean it's not weird. There's fighters like that.
Yeah. Normally at that level, there's not. Normally when you're in that many big fights, you have some really good fights, and he just never was one of those type of guys.
Yeah. Well, I know what Holyfield going into that Bowe fight, the narratives were that basically he really wasn't getting the respect he deserved as a champion going into the fight, even though he had being unmotivated Buster Douglas and things like that. But it seemed like he got more respect in a loss to Bowe. Would you say that's true at the time? Do you
absolutely. The way he stood up and just winging hooks and straight right hands at each other, and I mean, people forgot about the jab in the fight. Like who was jabbing? What throwing jabs? What do you mean throwing a jab? I mean, it was like they were just standing in front of each other, just heaving leather at each other. It was one of those rare fights where the brutality was so high, but they just kept fighting. I mean, they just kept fighting. I watched it with a friend of mine at that time. He's no longer with us. He passed away, but he had a great line about that fight. Okay, because he said, Rick, I didn't know fights were this great. I got to watch every week from now on. He said, you get this fight about once in a lifetime. Shut the fuck up. That's what I told him. So, they actually think that this happens all the time.
No,
you know what I mean?
no.
Right? They just don't realize. Like somebody said to me about Gaddy Ward. Oh my God, I got to watch boxing more often. Yeah, okay.
I'm like, you got to sit through about 300 stinkers to get to one of these.
Yeah, I agree, and it's you're just so happy to be. I started in boxing January 1st of 91.
Mm-hmm.
And that fight came along in 92. And you're just so proud to go to the local Italian restaurant, go to the local bagel shop. The old timers are sitting around. They know you're in boxing. You walk in, you're prouder than a peacock because the fight was great. They're all enthused. But then you get situations where you want to hide, like the Tyson biting the ears,
Yeah.
some of the embarrassing shit, the bad decisions. The referee stopped the fight way too fast at certain fights. And then you want to hide, but that's a kind of fight you can be proud to say, I'm in the professional boxing business and I'm proud of it.
Yeah. I kind of got that same feeling. I mean, what Bowe, this wasn't as big as Bowe versus Holyfield one, but like just a couple years ago when the first Fury Wilder fight, I thought was, even though it ended in like a bad decision or whatever, I thought it was a great fight. I feel like boxing won that night. I feel like it was one of the nights.
Oh yeah, boxing won all three times that Fury and Wilder fought. Especially in the last fight was with the face plant. I mean, boxing really won that night.
And to think like I didn't even want to see the third fight because I was like, man, Fury already beat him so bad the second time. I didn't even want to see the third fight, but the third fight actually wound up being like the most entertaining one, the best one.
Yeah, because Fury was on the deck a couple times. Yeah, definitely was the most entertaining one, especially watching Wilder go down face first. That was beautiful. That should have been a portrait. That should have been a portrait. Every LDBC and Haymonites and Wilderettes home.
Man, Tyson Fury sent the whole LDBC straight to hell with that right hand. Oh, it was great.
Yep. Yeah. They were all saying a white boy will never beat Wilder. Yeah, it took a white boy to beat Wilder.
They had to dig one up. But no, they still don't think he beat Wilder. They feel like he cheated all three fights. I'm still having arguments to this day of people who are like, oh, the first fight was a long count, and the third fight was a long count, and the second one there was egg weights in the gloves. I'm like, man, y'all just hate Fury. Just say you hate Fury. Like, you're better off just saying I hate Tyson Fury, and I'll never accept it.
I have this to say about it. All three fights, there was no egg weights in the gloves. There was nothing wrong. The only thing wrong with the first fight was that it shouldn't have been a draw. Wilder should have lost that first fight. Fury should have got the decision in the first fight, but it was close enough. Okay, it wasn't a robbery. It was just a bad decision. There's a difference between a bad decision and a robbery.
What would you say classifies what's the difference you feel?
How far is spread? In other words, if you figure it's a couple point fight, that's not a robbery. But if you think one guy won 117, 111, 118, 110, and it goes the other way, then that's a robbery. But if it's like 115, 113, that's not a robbery. Right? You know what I'm saying? That's a close fight. And don't forget, what people don't get about scoring is like politics, like voting and what do you call it? If it's a 4-point, let's say the percentage points in a polling is 4 points apart, that's really only 2 points, because if two drop out and go the other way, right?
Yeah, every point matters. It could change the perception of how things are.
The same thing in boxing. So if it's 115, 113, that means if it was one round that was different, if it would have went the other way, we would have had a draw.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So 2 points turns into 1 point. So that's not a robbery. A robbery is if you think a guy won 117, 111, he doesn't get his hand raised. That's a fucking robbery.
Yeah. Well, it looks like the WBC is trying to orchestrate a fourth Fury Wilder fight with this whole, like, they ordered.
Yes and no. It's going to be, they're doing it the right way. They're giving Ruiz a chance. Ruiz and Wilder. If Wilder beats Ruiz, we might have a fourth fight, or maybe by that time Fury's retired. Who knows?
I don't know. We don't know that. I don't know if he'll retire. He's up and down. He's bipolar. You can't really put too much into what he says, but I was watching.
Listen, this is what I have said about Fury. As much as I think he's a great fighter, as much as I like him, as much as he's a showman, he says some fucked up shit, literally almost daily. 1 minute he's fighting for free. 1 minute he's retired. 1 minute he's doing. Oh my God Almighty! Talk about mass confusion.
Then another time he says, when I'm retired, I'm gonna go back to doing what I do best, and that's masturbation 7 times a day. Just what's off the wall shit.
Oh, he's nuts. I mean, with a wife that looks like that, who would need to masturbate? Come on now, what's stupid?
Well, and I don't really buy that talk, because she has how many kids now? Like,
I don't know.
Like a truckload. They got a whole village over there, like 5 kids, at least 4 or 5 kids.
Yeah. Did you? I don't know if you ever heard the line I had about Tyson Fury, about comparing him and Anthony Joshua. And Anthony Joshua was also champ and stuff. And I said, basically speaking, is Anthony. The difference between the two of them is Anthony Joshua was a manufactured fighter, and Tyson Fury was born to fight. So I was on a talk show, and the host said to me, what do you mean he was born to fight? I said, well, his father was a fighter, his uncle was a fighter, his grandfather was a fighter, and he named him after Mike Tyson, Tyson Fury. I says, if he wanted a rocket scientist for a kid, he would have named him Einstein Fury. Okay, yeah. So there's your answer. He was born to fight. Okay, and Anthony Joshua was not born to fight. He's more of a manufactured fighter, and it shows. I mean, Fury's in there all natural, like the other guy's not. Andre Ward started the long count talk for the third fight. Huh?
I mean, I don't know if it was just him, but that was going on before the third fight, Kev. Like I was hearing that.
What's he talking about?
He's talking about the narrative that Tyson Fury in the first fight got a long count.
No, that was a good. Listen, the fact that he stood up, he got up, he stood up and fought back. There was nothing wrong with what's his name did, Reese. Come on. I mean, Reese is a California judge, and I mean referee, and one of the best in the business. Come on, please stop.
And it's a championship fight. You want to give both men every opportunity to get up and prove that they're okay, and let the fight naturally progress and
Obviously, it turned out that Jack Reese was right. Right?
Yeah. Because that third fight, oh my Lord, put him in a body bag.
Right. Exactly. Face Plant City.
Yeah.
Come on, Rick, we got 25 more minutes. Come on now.
Absolutely. Rick, I know on December 10th we got Teofimo Lopez versus Pedraza, the second fight at 140. What do you make of that fight? And then also, do you think he avoided Honor Barbosa? Because a lot of people are running with that now, that he avoided Honor Barbosa Jr.
Who did?
Teo.
I don't think he avoided Honor Barbosa Jr. I think they're going to fight in a bigger fight. I think it'll be for the vacant WBO title. If Josh Taylor moves up, something like that. I don't think he's being avoided. You
Well, wouldn't
understand what I'm saying?
yeah, I understand. But wouldn't he have to fight if it's for the WBO? Wouldn't he have to fight Liam Parle? Because I know Teo's one, and I think Parle's
Well,
two.
possibility, and if he does, okay, then the winner will have to fight Arnold.
Yeah,
Arnold's moving up in there. You know,
yeah, because
Arnold's a great kid. I know him personally. He's a great kid. I have nothing but respect for Arnold. Nothing but respect for his manager Rick Merigian, and they do a hell of a job. He's a good kid. He's a tough kid. He's not a great fighter in the sense his
no,
skills are not the greatest, but he's a tough, gritty guy. He's a good kid, good looking kid. There's nothing negative I could say about him.
yeah, and hopefully he gets a shot because he's been grinding for a long time, moving his way up the rankings.
Correct.
As far as like his manager, you mentioned Rick Merigan. He seems like he's really good at what he does, and he really has his fighters' backs. Well,
100. I just talked to Rick. I think it was today, maybe last night. I can't remember anymore. Rick's a great guy. Yeah, I talked to Rick this morning. Rick's a great guy. He's all in on his fighters. Gives them 1,000% each one, and he's a good manager. He's a very very capable guy. Nothing but respect for Rick.
yeah, I haven't had the honor to talk to him yet, but I mean, I'm sure at some point our paths will cross. Let me see. Haka Mustang says, I gave Deontay Wilder 2 rounds out of 12 versus Fury in the first fight. It was a disgusting robbery.
Right, I agree. If you count those 2 rounds and the 2 knockdowns, that's 4 points, and the other guy, won 10 rounds. So you got 10 points versus a -4. He won by 6 points. That's the point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ward literally said the count was long for the third fight, is all I'm saying. He said it, not me. You're saying,
well, Ward may have said it, but he's obviously wrong. It's obvious he's wrong because he got up, fought back, had to draw, and then went on to win 2 other fights. So, I mean, if he was really fucked up, he wouldn't be able to get up. He wouldn't have stood up, and Wilder would have knocked him out with the next punch once he got up.
my big issue with like the Wilder fans that go to that long count story is like there was 2 whole minutes left in the rest of the round.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
He couldn't do anything with them the last 2 rounds. So right, that's correct.
He was getting, Tyson Fury was getting the better of him in the exchanges.
Yeah, I know. That's my point.
Yeah.
So, I think that the Wilderettes, the LDB Cedars, the Haymonites, I think they get a little carried away with themselves sometimes.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
Yep.
But we love them anyway because they give us great entertainment value. M Easy says, I think Ruiz gives Wilder serious problems.
It's possible. He's right. It's very possible. If he comes in too light, no. If he comes in more of his natural weight, closer to his natural weight, but in shape, he's got a shot. He really has a shot.
That hand speed, that hand speed, once he gets on the inside and closes the range, that hand speed's a problem for anybody.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Boxing Pound for Pound Jack says, can you please say a few words on Daniel Kinahan?
Great guy, a friend of mine. Proud to say he's a friend. I had nothing but great business dealings with him. I have nothing ever negative to say about him, not because I'm afraid of him or anything like that. He's a great guy. He's a gentleman. My wife met him. He's great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with him. He's got a great personality. He's charming. He treated me like with the respect that he said I deserved, and got along with him great. I hope he's fine. I hope he turns out to be fine, and I have nothing but respect for the guy. I wish Daniel Kinahan all the best.
There you go. You guys got what you wanted. What do you think about Golden Boy making the Williams Zepeda versus Linares fight? Because Zepeda had that great performance against Jojo Diaz recently.
I don't think they're going to make Linares. I think Linares is retired.
Yeah, that's a random fight because Linares he got knocked out by Cano a couple years ago. He lost to Haney.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah. Let me see what else we got. Man, I think I asked you everything. We still got 15 minutes.
Well, here's what we can talk about for 15 minutes. Let's talk about a fight that's not made that you like to see in 2023, and I'll tell you when I'd want to see in 2023. Fire away.
Okay. For me,
Besides Bam and Sonny Edwards, that's the obvious one.
I was gonna say Bam was involved in the one I was gonna say. I was gonna say Chocolatito versus Bam, but that probably won't happen, right? Because of the whole Tekken Promotions thing.
Yeah, that won't happen. He would. He wouldn't do that to either guy.
Okay, so if not that, I would like to see maybe realistically, Jaron Ennis versus Earl Spence. Feel like Ennis needs a shot. Earl's not really doing anything. I know Earl's probably gonna fight Thurman, but I want to see Boots get his shot at glory because you know he's got like 20, what is it, 27, 28?
My opinion. This is my opinion. I don't know for a fact, but I think he's going to fight Thurman, beat Thurman, then he's going to go up to 54 because he's not going to want to do his IBF mandatory with Ennis. He'll go up to 54. Ennis will fight for a vacant title and get his belt that way. What fight do I want to see? I want to see Better Biev and Bivol.
That's a great fight.
That's the fight I want to see. I give a slight edge to Bivol because of the in and out foot movement. The other guy's 38 years old, had a lot of amateur fights, and is a little on the back nine with his legs. I like Bivol in the fight slightly, but with one shot, that fight could be over with. Don't forget one thing. But Turbiev is much stronger than Bivol. Much stronger. And it punches much harder.
So Bivol can't allow him to close the gap and be the explosive guy.
No. He's got to be. It may not be a great fight. It may be more like a Dwight Muhammad Quarry, Michael Spinks, where Michael Spinks never stopped moving his feet.
Just keep circling the ring. Circle, feint, move. Circle, feint, move. Over and over again.
Right. Exactly. So, I don't know. I mean, that's a fight I'd like to see. And I'd really like to see Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade.
I mean, that'd be a great fight.
It'd be a great fight, but they don't have enough balls to fight one another.
And it's really tragic. My man Boston Gerard says Christian and Billy versus the top 68 pounders. What do you think about Christian and Billy, Rick?
He's very good. He's fighting Vaughn Alexander.
Yeah, I seen that.
December 17th, about 3 hours outside of Paris. Can't remember the town. I heard the name, but I can't remember. It's about 3 hours outside of Paris. And what do I think of? Billy's one of the top 168 pounders that nobody knows yet, and I think he's very good. He can be a world champion. There's no question, and he's being pushed strongly at the BC level with the WBC. So he'll probably end up somewhere along the line having to fight. Benavidez will end up having to face him, or unless of course Haymon blocks the fight, but who knows? But yeah, he's a very good fighter.
Tell Rick to thank Al Haymon.
Thank Al Haymon. Yeah, right.
Oh, you know what? I got a question for you, Rick. I know with your connections to Don King. What do you think about Don King signing Ahmed El-Bialy? It looks like he's trying to sign. He signed Ahmed El-Bialy, and now Ahmed wants to fight. He wants to move up and fight Makabu for the cruiserweight belt.
Whatever, He's barely a 75 pounder, that kid. He should be a 68 pounder.
Nah, I know. But he can't get fights, whatever happened with him at PBC happened with PBC. So I guess he's with the Don King route, and he's from Egypt, and Makabu's from Congo, so it's the whole Africa thing. Africa versus Africa.
No, Egypt is in the Middle East, bro.
Isn't Egypt not part of Africa?
No.
I got exposed.
The Middle East.
I got exposed. I didn't pass.
Hold on. What did they teach you in the Davie school system?
Hey, don't blame me. I'm a product of the Broward County public education system. So
Jesus Christ, that's embarrassing. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Well, I don't know. Then Ahmed must not know either, because Ahmed was in his video and he was saying "Oh, I'm the king."
Hold on, is that Daniel Rubin with Pro? It was just down there with Pro Box.
Yeah, you know Daniel.
I don't know him, but I'm supposed to say hello to him one of these days. Clovis is going to introduce me to him. To Tico, little Tico Zabala, and I heard Daniel's a great kid.
He is a great kid. I met Daniel last year at a local show here in South Florida, and I was up there earlier this year for one of their first shows. A great kid, knows his boxing, and a lot, he's with Pro Box. He's with the right people. The best, my favorite promotional
Yep.
company right now.
Oh, yeah, what's his name? Ruben's doing a great job. For Gary Jonas, Clovis, the matchmaker, Zabala, he's doing a great job, and they're doing a great job. And Daniel's an organizational guy, I understand, and I heard he does a good job, so you can't beat that.
No, you can't. Apparently, I mean, this guy says Egypt is a part of Africa.
Egypt's not a part of Africa.
They're saying Egypt is in North Africa. I don't know.
It's in the Middle East.
It is what it is. I got exposed. I'll take my L. I'm not gonna argue. But yeah. Let me see what else. Oh, what are your thoughts on Atif Overton at 175?
He's all right. He's no great shake. He's with Marshall Kaufman and PBC. He's all right. I don't look at him as a big star eventually or anything like that. He's all right. He's a Philadelphia tough guy. He's all right.
Yeah. I like him. I think he can really fight.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
Everybody looks good throwing punches when they're getting hit back. Sometimes they don't look too good.
Yeah. So it's wait and see with him. We'll wait and see. But I like him so far. Do you think Michael Hunter and Deontay Wilder will be a good fight?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because yes, I do. Michael Hunter is very tough to beat. He's very fast-handed, very smart. He's not going to get caught with stupid punches from Deontay Wilder. So I think it's a very good fight. And I think it's a fight that Hunter is the kind of guy he needs to get up for a fight. Like he didn't get up for Jerry Force because he thought he was just going to win easy, and he didn't get up for the fight. He's got to get up for a fight. And if he gets up for the fight, he's capable of doing something special.
Okay, yeah. Hopefully he can just get active.
Don't forget one thing. One guy's got a genius ring IQ and one guy's got no ring IQ. The dangerous combination there.
Yeah. Hopefully Michael Hunter comes into shape because
right. That's what I just said. But he will. At a fight like that, he will, because he knows he has to be in great shape to win, and he'll get motivated for a fight like that.
Yeah. Now I don't know why he's bringing this fight up, but it's fun. Wilder versus Jarrell Miller. The personal beef will sell the fight. It will sell it.
Yeah.
Jarrell Miller is not even in America. He's in Romania, I think. Last I heard he was in Romania.
Yeah, something like that. Correct.
Yeah, I saw a picture of him and Andrew Tate.
Yeah, I'm glad you were looking at it, not me.
Well, we follow each other on Instagram because I used to see Jarrell at the Heavyweight Factory all the time back like 6 years ago when he was a contender and with Greg Cohen.
He's still with Greg Cohen.
Oh, he's still with Greg Cohen?
Greg Cohen didn't lose? No, and Salida, no.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Matter of fact, Greg Cohen's the one that supported him throughout this whole time, with all the legal help and everything else. So Greg's done an admirable job with him. Yeah,
no, shout out to Greg Cohen. Boxing Pound for Pound Jack says, how many heavyweights has that's not a boxing question. Like apparently Deontay's girl, she's, I don't know. But anyway. What do you think about Jalalov, Rick? I know he's a Pro Bellum, I believe.
Fantastic fighter. He's fighting on the show with on Prograis, the November 26th pay-per-view. He's fighting I think it's his first 10-rounder. He's fighting Curtis Harper. And Curtis Harper just come off a big win over that Christian Thon on the Pro Bellum the Pro Box show. And he's going to get his day in the sun again. Curtis had a years ago was in a controversial loss to what's his name, Chris Areola, and he's going to get another shot at a big time guy. Do I think Javela wins? Probably. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to be a good test for a guy with just like 12 fights, like Javelev's got 11 fights, whatever. And it will be a good test. Javlev can really fight. He's a future heavyweight champ. Unless there's something there I don't see, like a lack of heart or no chin or something like that. But as far as the skills, the power, everything, tall left-hander, he's very good.
Yeah.
He'll come out this year and do real well. Since he's fighting in November, let's say he fights again in February, he'll end up with 4 fights next year probably.
Okay. All right. So you think
he'll be a contender?
I know you said barring his heart and things like that as he progresses, that we'll find out about. But you really think he's got the tools to go all the way and be heavyweight champion?
Not even a question. No question about it in my mind at all.
Okay. Well, I got a question, Rick, because Daniel's here. I'll ask you this: Who out of all the fighters on Pro Box, which fighter has stood out the most to you so far out of all the Pro Box promotion fighters? I know you watch the cards.
Oh God, the 47-pounder that fights at 50. He's like 7-0, 6-0.
Is that Daniel Blancas, the Mexican?
No.
It's not the Puerto Ricans. It's not any one of the Valle brothers.
Yes.
Is it? Oh,
No. It's another guy. No, it's another Puerto Rican fellow. Good fighter.
Okay, maybe Daniel put his name in the chat.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, he's a very good fighter. He just knocked out Benjamin Whitaker in 1 round, so that would be the guy. If you could look up the record.
Ben Whitaker, that's he's a black kid, right? Is he a black kid?
Benjamin Whitaker's a black kid. Yeah.
No. The kid that knocked him out. Is he a black kid? Was it Daryl Valzaint?
That's it.
Yeah, good, solid fighter. I like him.
That's it right there, Daniel. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Dan. That's it. Yep, right there.
Yeah,
he's very good.
From Orlando. From Orlando.
He's a Haitian. He's very, very good. I like him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like Najee Lopez. That's my guy. That's the guy I like.
Najee Lopez, the cruiserweight. Yeah. You're bringing him down to light heavyweight. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah,
no question.
I like him. I seen him work. I seen him work in a Stacy's gym a couple years ago, and I liked what I saw.
Yep.
Yeah. Hand History Vault says, BT, have you and Rick talked about Estrada versus Charlo 3 and Franco? Oh, no, we haven't. So what do you think, Rick?
I want Chocolatito to win. I don't know what happens in the fight. And I want Franco to win, but the Japanese guy is very, very good, so I don't know. But I'm not sure who wins, but I want Franco to win and I want Chocolatito to win.
Yeah, I know. I saw recently that Chocolatito has been getting some good sparring for this fight. Like apparently, he was sparring with Bruce Carrington the other day out in California, and he also got some rounds in with Kosai Tanaka, from what I've heard as well. So he's gonna be prepared.
What's the date of that fight? Estrada and Chocolatito, first weekend in December.
That's December 3rd. It's the same day as Fury versus Chisora. And then Ioka Franco was December 31st. It's the big Japanese.
The New Year's, New Year's party. Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Boxing Pound Jack wants to know from you, Rick. He says, do you think Andy Cruz will become champion at 135 in 3 years?
I don't know that. Who knows if he can make 135 in 3 years? You know what I'm saying? So I would say no. The answer is no.
Yeah, but I saw at the convention they're already trying to get him ranked. I think it was it your boy? I think it was Don Majeski. I can't remember who it was that came to the podium. Someone petitioned for him to be ranked in the top 30 because of his amateur.
Did you go to the convention?
I didn't go. But I watched.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. But no, I might actually be going to the WBA convention because that's right here in Orlando. So I might be at that.
Interesting. In Orlando, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be at the Caribe Royale, the hotel where they have all the fights at.
The Caribe Royale. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I wanted to check that out because I actually just found out about that today. I didn't even realize it was in Orlando. So
when is it?
December 11th through the 14th.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Okay. Boxing Pound Jack wants to know Fury versus Joyce. Who do you think would win that fight?
Fuck, that's a great fight. I think Fury wins because he's got the faster feet and the faster hands, and he's got a little higher on the ring IQ department. But if Fury has to pick himself up once off the canvas or something like that, I wouldn't be surprised. It's a great fight.
Yeah, that Joe Joyce. I mean, he's really maturing into a
Yes,
dangerous heavyweight. Ismail Salah's doing a great job with him. Tweaking some things. He tweaked some things since he first came into the pro. So yeah, I love what I'm seeing from Joe Joyce, and I wish Fury would fight him. Fury kind of got on his like A-side business talk, when he said he was asked about fighting Joe Joyce, and he says, well, he only has this many Instagram followers. He needs to.
I know. It's so come on. Like I said about Fury, every time you talk to him, every time you listen to him talk, he says something contradictory to what he said the day before.
Yeah.
It was like the Bob Arum line. Yesterday I was lying. Today I'm telling the truth. Listen, we're about to end this thing. It's been 90 minutes. Listen, it's been great having you. Anybody that wants to follow me on Twitter, it's at Real Rick Glaser 1. I got about 5,600 followers. And there are a lot of fake Rick Glaser accounts out there, but this is Real Rick Glaser 1. And appreciate anybody that follows me. Like once in a while, you can just ask me a boxing question anytime you want. I put my phone number out there. People can call me directly and ask me questions.
He's
and I'm
very easy to reach. Very easy to reach.
Easiest guy in boxing to reach. That's exactly right. You just can't.
Sure.
I can be reached by phone, but I can't be reached to be corrupted.
I'll tell you guys a story, and then I'll let it go. This morning I went to the gym. And then I was like, you know what? Let me finally call Rick. It was like 8:30 in the morning or something like that. I call him and like he was halfway asleep, halfway dead, but he still picked up and he talked to me for like 2 or 3 minutes and then he went back to sleep. So he will pick up the phone if you call him.
Oh no, I'm a real boxing guy. I'm an old school boxing guy. I'm 24/7, 365, and even in my sleep, you can't pull nothing over my eyes. That's for sure.
It's a fact.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
You know what? I had a great compliment paid to me years ago by a boxing guy. I was just getting going in boxing. I was about 5 years into the game, 4 years into the game. And the guy says to me, he says, Rick, he says, I thought I invented some of these tricks. He says, I think you're the one that did, you bastard.
That's funny.
Well, listen, it's been great having me on the show.
Always a pleasure, Rick.
Talking from me, from my point of view. You ask great questions. Your followers tonight here ask great questions, and look forward to you having me on again. Hopefully in early December, possibly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope everybody realizes I answered every question with the most of integrity and honesty, and being being an upfront guy like I always am with every question, and every answer.
The most
Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you, Rick.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. So the man himself, the one and only, you can't clone him, Rick Glaser. Once again, man, listen, I've been interviewing Rick here on True School Sports since like late 2018. So we're going on, it'll be about 4 years in December, or it might be this month, that I've been interviewing Rick. I was one of the first channels to ever interview him. So it's always fun to have him on. He's always very forthcoming and honest and blunt and raw and real. And there's always a lot of transparency with Rick. So yeah, man, great interview tonight. Tomorrow, I'm working on getting some interviews. I have one coming tomorrow. I'm just waiting to confirm a time. So stay tuned for in the community posts and on all my social medias, on Twitter, on Instagram, and Facebook for tomorrow's interview. Also, before I go, I'm gonna drop this last bit of information and then I'm gonna go get up and out of here. But Wednesday afternoon at 3:00 Eastern Standard Time, I'm not gonna be doing the interviewing, but I'm gonna be getting interviewed by Punch Perfect Boxing. If you guys don't know Punch Perfect Boxing, he's a young man in the UK. I'll be on his channel Wednesday afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific. I'll be finally going over there because I was supposed to go on this channel back in was it June? I think June or July, and then we just never wound up doing it. So I had reached out to him today. I'll be there on Wednesday on his channel. Good young kid from the UK, good young channel. So I want to go over there, show my support to a guy who I feel like has been delivering good content on a consistent basis. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for all the interviews here on True School Sports. Stay tuned for all the content and videos coming on here on True School Sports, because there's quite a lot of them. We're inching closer and closer and closer to that 50,000 subscribe mark, which I'm like so anxious to hit, but we're getting closer every day, so I'm not really too bothered about it. But listen, you guys have a great night. Take care. God bless. Thank you for watching, True School Sports and supporting myself in the sport of boxing. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.